Welcome to Our Highest Work, a podcast where we are gathering and sharing the best ideas for spiritually based business and life success. My name is George Cow. Today's podcast, we begin a series on true livelihood. This is something that we've talked about in our podcast before, and it's something that I'll keep bringing us back to because true livelihood is one of my greatest passions, and it is about creating your work that is fulfilling to you emotionally, mentally challenging to you, spiritually growing, and financially sustaining you. So that's how I define true livelihood with those four factors. And with that, let me go into today's quote for the episode. And the quote is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the quote is, "The purpose of life is not to be happy, it is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." And I would say that if you live in a way that's useful, honorable, compassionate, and have made a difference, I think you'll be happy as you discover that. And true livelihood is about being useful, honorable, compassionate, making a difference in your career, in your business. I know most of us watching this have a business or wishing to create a business, so that's kind of the focus I'll give in this series. And as always, I would welcome your questions, specifically where, as you looked at this episode, the title to this episode, what came to mind for you? What questions came to mind? Where are you stuck in describing, getting clear on what you offer to the world? What have you tried before it didn't work? I'd love to know. And if you are watching this live, I always welcome you to watch this live, and you can join, those of us who are listening to this can join the live episodes by going to ourhighestwork.com, and there's an email subscription service there that's free. And if you subscribe to receive an email about every episode, then you'll get a notice every time about an hour before each episode. It's always on Tuesdays and Fridays at noon Pacific, but you'll get a reminder about 1 hour before each episode. Actually, let me know, are the reminders coming too short, too soon, or is it coming just about the right time? Let me know as well. But for those who are listening to this and not watching it, well, sorry, those who are watching it live, please comment directly on the video page itself. You can scroll down. It might be below the video. It might be the video, but comment on the video. For those of you who are listening or watching this later after I record this, I would prefer you to comment on the Facebook thread itself, because it's much easier for me to respond on the Facebook thread than it is on the video. I'm on Facebook more often, and it's the whole interface on the YouTube responding isn't as easy for me. So I appreciate that. All right, so without further ado, let me actually go into the topic of today again, getting clear on what you offer the world, and specifically what the world would be willing to pay you for. And I'm going to be specifically focusing on the Simple Livelihood mind map, because that's where I put all of my information about this stuff. And so let me actually bring the mind map up so that you can see my screen, and then we'll go into the content right now. So here we go. So those of you who are listening to this, I'm going to do my best to describe what I'm seeing on the screen so that you can hear it and understand it. You may want to later go back to the video and watch it again. The video you can find at www.ourhighestwork.com/45, since this is episode 45. Okay, so now you should be seeing in a moment the Simple Livelihood mind map. Hopefully you are familiar with this if you've been following this podcast. If you're not familiar with it, you can find the mind map at www.georgecow.com/map, M-A-P. And I will also put the link to it below the video and in the audio show notes when I finish recording this. Okay, so getting clear on what you offer to the world that they're willing to pay for is all about matching, or I should say it's mostly about matching. And if you do, and if, again, when you come back to the mind map, right, you're going to see this, and you're going to see matching around here. And you'll simply click on the plus symbol to open up the matching node, and you can click on the plus and minus here to make it bigger, to make it easier to read, which I will do right now. Okay, and if you do these activities in matching, I can almost guarantee that you will be clear about what you offer to the world, and not only that, but you'll be paid for it, and probably paid well for it if you do these activities faithfully. And whenever you have any questions, you can always come and ask us questions in our highest work community. Go to About This Mind Map, how to get personal coaching based on this. Click on this and join the community where you can ask questions for free. So click on this link. We'll lead you to the page to show you how to join our Facebook group and ask your questions there. And if you want to hire me, of course, that's possible as well for those who can afford it. But you can ask for free. I really welcome you to ask questions for free. So diligently and persistently follow the activities in this section, and to keep doing them, okay, to keep coming back, because each time you come back and do them again, you will be more skilled at doing it, you will be clearer about what it is that you offer, and you'll be clearer about what people want from you, right? So the reason why I've made these 3 different colors is because I see them as 3 different stages. Today, in this podcast episode, I'm going to just talk about the first stage, the blue stage, and then the next episode will be about the yellow stage, and the next one about the green stage. Now, you aren't really done with matching until you go all the way through to the green stage, and even matching continues after you've gotten some paid clients already, and there's more activities here for that. Oh, I should show you real quick here. This is something that I think differently about compared to most marketers. A lot of marketing teachers say that you should define your target market first, right? Like, oh, who is it that you serve? What age range do you serve? Are they mostly men, or is it mostly women? Are they, you know, what kind of profession are they? Do they have kids, or do they have pets? You know, all that stuff. I don't believe in defining that until you've had people buy from you. Now, you may say, well, George, but don't I need to have that defined, what's called your ideal client avatar or ideal customer profile? Don't I need to have that defined before I can sell something? No, you don't. You sell things based on what problems your service solves or what experience you give people. And then, of course, you keep clarifying what's interesting and important enough for people for you to solve for them, or what interesting and important enough an experience for them to have. And then you sell that, and as people buy, you will then be truly qualified to analyze who your ideal client is. I'll give you my example. I was very surprised. When I started my business 5 years ago, I thought that my ideal client was someone who looked like me, who was in my age range, in my 30s, who was, you know, looked like me. So I'm a 30-something-year-old male who just graduated from graduate school. I thought that was my ideal audience. Well, it turned out that as I was selling social media services, I was basically selling the problem that, okay, I help you solve your social media problems, or achieve your social media goals, that kind of stuff. Then people started buying, and the people who bought were mostly baby boomer women. So women in their 40s to 60s, sometimes even 70s, occasionally in their 30s, but mostly 40s to 60s, and mostly even in their 50s, women. And I really didn't even have any friends who were baby boomer women. I mean, yeah, I had some acquaintances, but it totally surprised me, and it continued to be on that pattern for a while, and then eventually baby boomer men started buying from me as well, and eventually my age range started broadening so that I had 30-something folks buying from me, and then, so it was very surprising to me, and that has been the case for other people that I've known as well, other successful business owners. So I don't believe in identifying your target market before you start selling. I believe in identifying the problem that you solve, or the experience that you want people to have, that is interesting and important enough for them, such that they would pay for it. But let's now focus right now on the first stage, okay? And the reason I mentioned the ideal client market thing is because you won't find the ideal client market in this first stage, and that's why people are like, well, don't you need to start with that? No, you don't. All right. As always, I like to check for comments from the live viewers. Only a few people usually view these things live, so Thank you to Shweta and Larry for your comments. What comes to mind is aligning in to out. Yes, that's great. And Larry, thank you for your comment there as well. All right, so these are 4 different exercises to help you clarify what you offer that the world wants to pay for. Now, whether the world wants to pay for it, you kind of start getting more in depth into it here, and you really find out if the world will pay you for it when you get to the green stage. So this is one of those things that people often go, George, I want a guarantee that people are going to buy my thing before I even put anything out about it. And if you get any marketing coach telling you they can guarantee that people will buy your thing before you start to sell it, before you actually quote unquote launch it or make it to offer it in front of them, I'm sorry to say they're not telling you the truth. In my experience anyway. The truth in my experience is, and I think savvy marketing coaches will tell you this, you never know if people are going to buy until you actually make the offer to them, and until they actually have the service or program or product in front of them. When I say in front of them, I mean they're looking at the website and deciding whether or not to buy or whether to apply for your program or something like that. You won't ever know until you get to the green stage. So please, there are no guarantees in life. The only guarantee, in my opinion, is that you are loved now and forevermore, and that everything will turn out well for you. That's the only guarantee, in my opinion. But in terms of business, there are no guarantees. You have to test. Savvy marketers find out what their market really wants to buy by testing frequently. And I was talking to a client the other day, and she says, well, I don't like to test because I don't like all the technology that's involved. You don't have to do all this stuff yourself. Any technology you don't like to do or don't want to do, go to odesk.com and hire someone for $5 an hour to $15 an hour to do the technology stuff for you. You don't have to do the technology stuff. Okay? There's people who are very happy to do search engine optimization for you for $5 an hour who are very qualified to do it. People who are very happy to create your website for you for $10 an hour or $5 an hour, and they're very qualified to do it. Odesk.com, O-D-E-S-K.com. Okay? All right, so don't worry about the technology. You can find someone to do it for a very good price, and you'll be supporting a developing country as you do that. Okay? So first, 4 exercises. First, describe or further clarify what you do. This is sort of a general exercise before you kind of what I call uniquify your offer, which is your service, your program, your product. So first of all, describe, further, clarify what you do. What follows are various, okay, so for those of you who are not seeing the mind map, what it says here is what follows are various methods to help you describe what you do for others. Try each one and see what is most helpful to you. So these are different exercises. These are 4 different exercises to help you kind of, if you're just starting from scratch, and I'll tell you, I start from scratch several times a year in terms of this exercise. And when I say start from scratch, I really mean start from wherever I am. Okay, and I'm very open-minded to what's next for me all the time. I'm open-minded, not that I change all the time, but I'm open-minded. So what I'm trying to say is that this is not something you do once and then you're done for the rest of your life. This is something I encourage you to do as often as you need to, and know that I do this several times a year, okay, so that I continue to get clearer. Because true livelihood is like an upward spiral that just keeps getting wiser and broader and more profound as you go, okay? It's not something that you do once in your life and you're done. So one is to practice getting to a one-liner that you're happy with. And I saw this wonderful article, I just found this today actually, I just put it here today, about how to describe your offering in 1 sentence. And I thought this was just a wonderful, very simple but excellent blog post about this. Okay, so I invite you to read this later, and the link again is in the mind map, again in the matching area, and in the matching area in the describe what you do area, and right here. Okay. In terms of what do you call yourself? Okay. What do you call yourself? A very useful thing is to go to LinkedIn.com and do a search for words or things you might want to do. Okay, look at the profiles of at least 10 people, write down the titles and phrases that appeal to you, and do another search using those more appealing phrases. And then keep honing the title until you say, oh, I love calling myself a, holistic health and energy healer, or what you may find you want to call yourself. So I'll show you an example right here on the screen share on how you might do that. So go to LinkedIn.com, log in, get a free account. I have a free account on LinkedIn. I don't pay for it. So LinkedIn.com, and then here in the search box, okay, let's see. I just said holistic health energy healer. I'm just going to type it in and see what comes up. Okay, press enter. Okay. Waiting. All right. So when you pull this up, what you're going to be looking at is a bunch of different people on LinkedIn who have those keywords somewhere on their profile, and so you can basically look at the titles they call themselves and see if it's what you want to call yourself as well, or if you want to use any of their words or phrases to call yourself. So this person says, Master Psychic Healer. Okay, that sounds like a pretty nice title, right? Master Psychic Healer at, and this is, I guess, her company, Pure Energy Healer. So look at all these words: Certified Holistic Coach, Energy Healer, Psychic Advisor, right? Spiritual Guide, Accountability Coach, okay? Holistic Psychotherapist, Energy Healer, okay? Certified Center for Energy Information, Energy Coach. And if you want to see more, right? So you want to see, okay, what is this person? I don't see more. Then you basically click on her name. And then you go down and look at these. And LinkedIn has automatically put into yellow the keywords that I searched. Remember, I searched holistic health energy healer, so that's why LinkedIn put all these things in yellow. Okay, holistic health counselor. So have you ever thought of calling yourself that? Excuse me. Energy healer, right? Coach, health educator. Have you thought of calling yourself that? Holistic health practitioner, wellness and business coach. Okay, that's kind of that's a little bit broad, actually. Not what I would recommend. Health educator. So you can see what I mean is let's say at this point I'm like, oh, I like that. I like holistic health educator. So I'm going to start using that as my search term. I'm going to click search. I'm going to see what comes up. And also the word coach. I like that term too. I'm just going to search for that. Holistic health educator coach. See what comes up. Okay, health educator and consultant. So consultant, that's another word you might want to use. Healing wisdom, another phrase you might want to consider. Stress management, another. You see what I mean? So by doing this, you're going to start. And I'm not even done with the first page. Look at all these options. So like I said, if you do the work patiently, persistently, diligently, you can have any career you want. You can have your true livelihood, but it depends on your willingness. How badly do you want it, right? And so most people are like, oh, I'm so tired after looking at one. Well, take a nap. Go take a nap. Go have a snack. Go take a walk around the block. Come back. When you're not tired again, come and look at this and be systematic about it, and look at and write down all these. Write them down. Write them down, and then so you can see it in one list and start to score what phrases you like best. So that's how you figure out what to call yourself. You see that? Let me just take a look at the comments to see if any other comments here. Oh, Shweta says, what are some ways to test? What does this look like, especially some low-cost ways? Okay, so what I would recommend, Shweta, is to go to visualwebsiteoptimizer.com. Okay, now I have to confess to say that I haven't yet used these services yet. These two services I'm going to show you, I have an intention to use them very soon. Actually, the plan started at $49 a month. That might be a little bit too much. So forget split. I was going to suggest split testing, but I think split testing software is a little bit more than cheap, I would say. So VWO, I guess, is their website now. VWO.com and also Optimizely.com. For those of you who have a little bit of a budget to spend on testing, split testing is really the best way to find out. You split test your sales page and you send traffic to it. And you can send traffic by posting it on social media. You can send traffic by, emailing to your warm contacts. All kinds of ways, right? But let's see here. Bronze. Okay, starting at $70 per month. So you might want to start with Optimizely for a very relatively good price split testing. Um, so split testing is really, Shweta, that might be all you need to know. Actually, I know you've been asking this question for a while, and Shweta, I think you might be in the green stage already because you might have already done all this stuff. So when you come to this green stage, it's really about split testing. It's about launching, but really doing split testing to see whether people buy. And for those who don't know what split testing is, let me explain. Split testing, sometimes it's called A/B testing. Okay, A/B testing is basically, imagine 100 people going to your web page, and 50 of those randomly will be, the software will do all this for you. Okay, the software will make sure that half of the people who come to your website randomly see version A, and half of the people randomly see version B. And you will see which of those people buy or sign up for your email list or whatever you're trying to test. Which of those two versions can perform better based on your goals. And so let's say version B performs better. Like, you send 100 people to your sales page, and 2 people bought from version B and only 1 person bought from version A. Okay, fine. So version B is performing better. So now you can create two versions of version B. You can tweak the headline for version B and keep the original headline for version B and do a new headline for version B. Let's call it version B1 and version B2. And then you send another 100 people to that web page. And when I say send, I mean you either post a web page on social media, or you email it to your list, or some people even do advertising to send people to that web page. And then it turns out that version B2 works better. Then you keep version B2 and you create another version. Maybe you tweak some images on that version, that new version. Let's call it C. Okay, version B2 or version C, which one works better? So does that make sense, Shweta? So that would be really the most genuine way to test it. Let me know if that's helpful. But yeah, that's really the only way, Shweta. Otherwise, you just have to do niche interviews, or do some surveys. Okay. So niche interviews or surveys is sort of before you get to the green stage and really know whether people are going to buy. Because the thing about niche interviews and surveys is people can tell you, people can, on the phone with you, they can say all kinds of nice things. Oh, Shweta, I love your program, I love your service. But then when you actually send them to the sales page, they don't buy because they're just trying to be nice to you. So niche interviews are really to get further on the work you do in the blue stage. It's not a guarantee. Again, like I said, there's no guarantees. The only guarantee is to actually launch and actually send people to the website and see if people buy, and then tweak, and then send more people. And when I say send people to your website, I don't mean that if you send 100 people to your site, you can never send those same 100 people back. No, of course you can. Maybe you don't send them back the next day. Maybe you don't send them back the next week. But maybe a month later to say, hey, I want to show you that I made some updates to this service, to this program, to this product, and kindly take a look and see if you're interested. And let me know if you like it, right? So you can send the same people to the same web page, just occasionally. Make sense? Okay. So, but again, we're at the blue stage, and I'm sorry for those of you who are not even at the split testing, but let's go back to the blue stage here. We talked about what to call yourself. Okay, another great exercise is to have 3 friends. Again, this is for people who really don't even know what to call themselves and don't really know what they do. What should I offer to the world? Like how will people describe what it is that I do? Have 3 friends interview you. And if you come to the mind map and click on this area here, you will see that there's the actual exercise written out for you in a note. And in the exercise, you can scroll down in the exercise to read the whole thing. But it's basically to have 3 people. It could be friends, or it could be someone you hire on Odesk for $5 an hour or $10 an hour. Have 3 people interview you for 30 minutes. And when I say interview, I'm not saying you should publish it. I'm saying this is a private conversation. But they're asking you as many questions as they can about what you do, and then they're taking notes as quickly as they can as you describe all the ways of what you do. Okay? What problems do you solve? What goals do you help others achieve? What experience do you give people? How do you do it? What kind of results do you create for people? What are people like before they work with you? What are people like after they work with you? Okay, have them ask you all kinds of questions like that. Okay, and then have them ask you to repeat whenever they don't understand. And as you repeat what you do, you may end up saying something slightly different. And they can either be great note takers, or they can you guys can record the call so that they can take the notes later, or you can take the notes later. And then I would say finally have a fourth friend. Okay, have a fourth friend, or hire someone to do this for $5 or $10 an hour. Combine those notes into a one-page description about what you do. Okay. And well, you may want to do the first stab at it because about combining the notes, because you want to basically come out with what energizes you, based on everything you said. What energized you, but also what would a stranger? How would a stranger describe what you do? Actually, so that might be two separate versions, right? How you would combine your notes and how others would combine your notes. And a friend might not be willing to do this for you for free. So, or maybe you have great friends who are willing, but you could hire someone again on odesk.com to do this for you for $5 or $10 an hour. Okay. All right. So, another exercise that may be helpful is the intuitive niche decision grid. And if you click on this, you will see this template. And this is a template that a lot of my clients in the past have found to be helpful. So that's why I want to share with you here as well. And I'm not going to go into the intuitive niche decision template right now, because I already have a 7-minute video that walks you through how to use this template. So when you go to the template, you can click on this. You can go to this YouTube video link. Just click on this and then click go to link, and then you'll be able to watch the video about the intuitive niche decision. Okay, another method to figure out what you do is to go to in-person groups, especially career type of networking groups, business networking or career networking. If you go to meetup.com, it is awesome. Meetup.com, especially if you're in the States. I think, let's see here. Yeah, it's mostly for people in the USA. But for people outside the U.S., anyway, click on. Here's the San Francisco for me. But you can click on this, put in your zip code. I'm just going to put in some random zip code. I don't even know what zip code that is. I wonder what that is. What? What is that? Okay, I guess that's. I don't even know what that is. I'm going to say within. So within 100 miles. No, within 25 miles. Wow. You know what? Let me do another zip code. I'm just getting random zip code here. San Jose. Okay, well, San Jose. Fine. Within 25 miles, there's all these. Of course, San Jose is tech, Silicon Valley. Let me do another one here. Just going to do some random zip codes. Okay. West Virginia. All right. Here we go. So when you whatever zip code you come up with, come to where it says all meetups, the search box. Click on it, and then click career and business. And then here are the within 25 miles, the networking groups. So you may want to go and network with those people. If you're having a hard time, go to Craigslist.org to find Craigslist. Let's see here. No, not that. Craigslist. It automatically knows I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. But if you need to, you can, on the right-hand side, you can find Craigslist worldwide, CL worldwide, and then you can have all these different continents: Africa, Americas, Asia, Europe, Middle East, Oceania, and you can go into those and find. You can ask in the Craigslist community, "Hey, I'm looking for local community or business or career meetup groups. Anyone have a recommendation?" Or you can even go to Google.com and search, career networking meeting, and then your city. Okay, your city, whatever your city is, and see what comes up on Google. All right? Okay, let me just kind of take a look to see if there's any comments. Larry says, Meetup is also very active in Canada. So Shweta says, thank you for the resources. I get a bit overwhelmed with the technology part, so I prefer the human version, though it hasn't been very productive. Yeah, with the human version, yeah, I mean, with the human version, the version of split testing with humans is really when you're in a meeting or networking meeting, you describe what you do, and the next person you describe slightly differently what you do, and see what lights people up more. And then whatever one lights people up more, you kind of remember that, and you use that version versus a new version that you haven't used, or a slightly tweaked version of that. So you could do split testing in human ways as well. All right, so, oh, and Shweta, one more thing is you might want to go to Odesk and search for people who do split testing for, you could probably find someone to help you with the split testing for maybe $10 to $15 an hour, actually. So try that too. All right, let's go on. So basically, to figure out what you do, whether it's really even worthwhile for people, whether it lights people up, the more conversations you have with people, like having people interview you about what you do, or doing the niche, intuitive niche decision, doing more of that exercise, the more of these exercises that you do, I should say, the clearer it tends to get. So just diligently do these exercises, and you'll start to get clear on what you do. Now, further down, let's talk about these other additional blue activities here. So once you have some idea of what you do, it's time to start to make your thing more interesting for people, more interesting. And how do you make your thing more unique and interesting for people? So click on this branch that says Uniquify or Improve Your Offer. And one of this ones here says Combine Things into a Unique Offer. So click on this. So basically, when you're trying to make your service or program or product more interesting, more unique, you could basically combine the market's problems, what you understand based on your conversations in the previous section. Combine any specific audiences that you think might be interested in what you do. Again, this is really tentative. I'm going to put this down at the bottom there. This is really tentative. Until you know who's really buying it, you don't really know who your ideal audience is. Okay, but you can make a guess to make it unique for now, and then go back and have conversations with people. Okay, to confirm whether or not it's lighting people up. But you can combine the market's problems, your own strengths, your interests and passions, your values, okay, and then specific audiences you might want to serve, right? And I have another little exercise here for you about naming your offer. If you're trying to name your service or your program or your product, I have a little exercise here. Again, come into the mind map later and scroll down here on this exercise to utilize it. And I also have a wonderful, well, I think it's wonderful, blog post that I wrote, 20 ways to improve your offering, and that's also linked right here in the mind map. All right, so furthermore, clarify your credibility indicators. Your credibility indicators, I have a blog post about that, and your credibility indicators are basically how do you know you are credible, or I should say, how do other people know that you are credible? How do other people know that you are credible, right? And so any kind of testimonials you've gotten, or even kind comments, nice comments someone has said about your service or your product or your program, any case studies, if any. Now, you don't have to have all of these. You just have to have one or two of these 10 things, okay? So I'll let you look at the credibility indicators. Now, it may be too early for you to come up with credibility indicators. So don't worry if you can't come up with any yet. It just simply means you need to gather more service experience. You need to be doing things for people, often for free in the beginning, so that you can get a better understanding of what people really need, what really lights them up, and what you really enjoy doing. Does that make sense? So that's really the final part of the blue activities here in matching before we go on to the next two stages. The final part is if you can't describe what you do even after these exercises, you simply need to gather more experience. The more experience you have serving people with what you think you might want to serve them with, even when it's for free, even if it's for friends and family who are willing to just, throw you a bone and can give you an hour just to see what you do for them, right? The more you do that, the better you understand what you enjoy, what you are good at, and what lights people up about what you do. All right, so I think this episode's gone long enough. for now, and I really welcome your questions. As I mentioned, if you're watching this or listening to this afterwards, you can go to www.ourhighestwork.com/45 and find this is episode 45, so ourhighestwork.com/45, and you can find the Facebook thread there. I prefer you to ask your questions in that Facebook thread, or make your comments there, except for those who are live. So thank you again for being part of this community. And one more thing I'll say is, if you hadn't had a chance to give this podcast your review on iTunes. I don't say this often. I see that a lot of podcasters say this like all the time, and that's why they get so many reviews. And you know, this podcast only has about a dozen reviews compared to podcasts of peers who have hundreds of reviews. So if I'll make an appeal now. If you haven't had a chance to write a review about this podcast, I'd be so grateful if you do. Every review really helps other people find this podcast, because the iTunes is a really big search engine, and podcasts come up based on whether people have subscribed to the podcast. Actually, that's number one. You can go to www.ourhighestwork.com/iTunes, ourhighestwork.com/iTunes, and there, if you haven't yet kindly subscribe to this podcast in iTunes, that really bumps up the score of the podcast. And secondly, if you can kindly either rate or review it, it really helps other people to discover this free and hopefully you agree valuable information. So with that, I remind you of the quote that we started in the beginning of the episode, which is from Emerson. The purpose of life is not to be happy, it's to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have made your life a difference, that you've lived and lived well. And then I would say, add to that, if you've done that, you'll find yourself happy along the way. So until the next episode, keep your thoughts positive, keep your heart open. Be well.